how he is again. Uh, on that video I made yesterday about this possible alien war, sorry, I just took a shower. I didn't dry my hair properly. The this idea of this, what's really going on with this whole coronavirus thing, and thinking about it deeper. I'm fully aware that I'm like any in chaos magic ritual operation. I'm throwing potentials into the mix to see what comes back. And these are essentially synchromistic cut-ups, that's basically to see what comes out of it, because we're never going to get an opportunity like this ever again, to experience something like this ever again. And I'm open to everything and open to nothing regarding it. It's out there, it's throwing it. I'm not going to impede myself in expressing it, as I have these resolutions, these insights, these feelings in the mornings, and I like to put them out there for posterity. I have great belief in my own ability as a magician, and I have no problem saying that, because my life story is basically one long ritual that's come to pass. Now, again, throwing the tangents out there, throwing into the mix, is an idea that, really, when you look at the idea of William Burroughs and using the cut-ups along Bowie, again, we're going to talk about Bowie today, it's also rooted in many esoteric traditions and artistic traditions. In Japan, the idea that if a vase breaks, they don't throw it away, they put it back together again with gold, melted gold, and create it into something new that's even more beautiful. Well, that's also central to Freemasonry. Having looked into Freemasonry quite a lot, having some unique books on them, the Freemasonry, a central tenet is to gather up that which has been scattered and to reassemble it into something new. And so that's really, what I'm doing here in terms of the chaos thing, talking about the relationship between the coronavirus, the comet, the asteroids, the changes in the sky, what's really going on, why we have this space warfare thing. Well, we're going to go a little bit deeper today, and I'm actually going to blow your minds on this one, because I blew my mind on this, my own mind on this one. Okay, do you remember? Okay, let's start. Let's begin at the very beginning. This tangent, this path, this mystical quest for me personally began with the appearance of this strange anomaly called Onumaruma, however it's pronounced. This object that came out of the solar system from a very unusual angle. It didn't arrive from the Oort cloud or from the debris field. It made a right turn as it came into the inner solar system, and then left. Did it leave? Now, it's caused mental illness among astronomers and cosmologists. I read a thing yesterday. Now, the initial thing was, I can remember people saying, well, it took the turn because of outgassing. Yes, outgassing is a phenomenon that happens in asteroids and comets when they come close to the sun. Gas is trapped inside their body. Ejects like the boosters or the thrusters on, on, say, the Saturn V command module, to angle it so it lines up with the LEM, and that kind of thing. And but naturally, by accident, this thing took a sharp right turn. This thing took a sharp right turn. It didn't go like this, a little bit off. It went like that. And as soon as I knew this was something new and it was baffling astronomers and cosmologists, I did that video that you've all seen, the mass of Oumuamua, and following a few days later, there was massive UFO activity over the west of Ireland, the greatest flap in centuries, in decades. So that was the beginning of this journey for me personally. Concurrent with that, I became much more heavily involved in my study of Lovecraft, and seeing that there was much more of a story there in terms of the destiny of humanity and being relayed in his work as a fiction, which have basically become fact in so many ways due to the reality that through everything from role playing games to the obsession with the stories to things like the Necronomicon, both it doesn't matter if they're the Simon Necronomicon, if they're fake or anything. It doesn't matter. This is part of the mystique, or the Colin Wilson Book of Dead Names. It doesn't matter. We're living in a quantum reality, and it's not as solid, and it's not has not fixity of purpose as the materialists believe it has. And so I came deeper into that. And then I just had an insight one day that the octopus is the animal totem of the chaos paganism concepts. And I said, everyone just concentrate when you go to the sea. This has happened last year. Concentrate on octopuses. Think of these octopuses down there in the ocean. Communing with them. Think about their uniqueness, their high intelligence, how they're basically an alien life form on this planet. And so then everyone starts seeing octopuses everywhere, going all over. There's no coincidence anymore. All over the news feed, everything is octopus, 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 octopus. Now stories are coming out today of octopuses invading the land all over the world. Octopuses coming out of sea. Now, of course, you know that there's a strong notion through the likes of Lovecraftian work that these octopi type, cephalopod type creatures, whatever, are connected to space and Cthulhu, and just like our own destiny is connected to space through the oracles of spaceships. And when I say satellites and interstellar probes and radio and optical telescopes and infrared telescopes and so on. At the same time too, that's also connected to the oceans, the ocean and man, and the sky above, the sky below, the ocean and man, the ocean and the sea, and all these things are interconnected. The moon card has the crustacean coming up from the sea. Between the two towers, you have the situation, and it's always connected. Even right down to the fact that the southern pole of inaccessibility, not far, well, about 900 miles south west of Easter Island, is where not only where they dump all the satellites that are out of the sky, but it's also where Cthulhu is said to live, and where the famous that famous boop sound came from the ocean that was picked up by the U.S. Navy that they've never been able to explain. Like it was an organic animal noise of a gigantic animal. And it's almost like when they throw these satellites into the southern pole of inaccessibility, it's almost like they're giving offerings to Cthulhu. Now, I know Cthulhu's a fictional thing, but just stay with me, okay? If you on the esoteric path, you understand that everything has a profound connection to something else. We're gathering up that which is scattered, to use the Freemasonic phrase. Now, I had a while back, two friends of mine came into my art studio, and they said to me, "You have to see the Bowie's new video. Have you seen it?" And I said, no, I haven't seen it. And he had a new single out, and it was the Blackstar. And he showed me Blackstar. They showed me Blackstar on the iPhone, and immediately it was like, oh my God, Bowie's back. And of course he died not long after. Now that video has been very well and analysed and talked about lyrically, and of course the retarded truthers said it's all satanic and all this stuff, and let's talk about this further. In that video, towards the end, okay, it's full of Lovecraftian symbolism. The skull of Major Tom that's retreated from the planet. And remember, this man was dying. So when you're dying and you're drawing closer to the light, you're having visions of things you never had before. And a lifelong magician, like, and a true magician, and a god like Bowie, would impart his blessings upon us through his artwork towards the end. The skull of Major Tom is wearing a tiara on the planet. I don't know if anyone's figured any of this stuff out yet, but that tiara is almost identical to how Lovecraft describes the one in the Newport Museum in the shadow over Innsmouth. It was a tiara that was retrieved from the Marsh refinery, where people were hybrid humans, deep ones, and marine creatures, and had also been connected to the stars and Cthulhu and Mother Dagon and all this kind of thing, and Astaroth and the interdimensional daemon at the center of all chaos, and we talked about that yesterday with the djinn and so on. So that already was a massive Lovecraft thing there. Right there. I don't know how much Bowie was or the person who made that music video knew about this stuff. Possibly not, or vaguely. If you watch the Blackstar video, we know it's a song by a man who's dying, okay? But if you look at the video, it looks like the people are dying of plague. It looks like they're dying of plague, and they're having fits and dances, and there's a mass that's a very, very similar to the Louisiana cult mass described in the Call of Cthulhu. And a woman is there, and they're all young women, and everyone looks like they're dying of plague. There are three, towards the end of the video, there are three, I implore you to go look at the video after this video finished. There are three men crucified, mimicking the Passion, Jesus Christ and the two robbers. And they're fully dressed in kind of redneck clothes, but their faces are covered in a mask, and every part of the face is covered except the mouth. So it's the inverse of what we're seeing all around us today. But more intriguingly, out of the swamp comes a kind of a human octopus hybrid who murders the Christ-like one in the center at the end. It looks like a human-sized Cthulhu. Now go and watch that, okay? Now the Blackstar. Let's talk about that. The 1 in 9 COVID-19, you add that together in numerology, you get 10. That's the threshold number. You reduce that in numerology, you get 5. What's 5? The 5 points of the Black Star. In 5, in esoteric thing, 5 in earthly matters is often a calamity. The 5 of Swords, the 5 of Cups, the 5 of, in the tarot, the 5 of Coins, 5 of Wands. The 5 of Coins or Pentacles is disease. Plague often is represented by that. The 5 of Swords is defeat. Now, the 5 sides of the pentagram relate to the 5 visible planets in the heavens, the 5 fingers of the hand, the 5 extremities of man, the head, the 2 arms and the 2 legs. We have, I'm jumping and flying all over the place here. Like I said, it's trying to gather up that which was scattered. Now we talked about the comet, and it's, the Comet Atlas, and it's coming in, and it definitely seems to be strange again. And also, there's been photographs taken of the sun in recent time that show that Numa Uma might be still there, circling the sun. And I read an article yesterday in one of the science magazines, and it was pure mental illness by it. If you think this is nuts, you want to hear what the scientists were trying to rationalize how that thing took a right turn, and it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was just anything they could pull out of their arse so they wouldn't have to accept that they're facing something they can't understand. Where us of the esoteric minded do have the language and the vernacular, as well as the processing to see these things in different ways. In ancient times, comets were always associated with portents, kingdoms falling, plagues upon the land, and so on. The octopus is a central figure in most mythologies. There's some very ancient Greek and Minoan poet pottery with octopi on them. Why do we always associate octopuses with aliens and the sky and everything like this? Now, noticeable by its absence is the octopus from Egyptian mythology. Everything else seems to be covered except the octopus. Now, you could say to yourself, well, that's because they were a desert people, but no, they had a coast, Alexandria. There were coastal regions that they were involved in. They were involved in the sea. They had ships. They had a navy. They were involved during pharaonic, even Egyptian times. And I looked around and I thought there has to be some kind of symbolism that represents the octopus. And I'm going to throw this out there. I think it's the Eye of Ra. If you look at not the New Age hippie prediction graphics of the Eye of Ra or the Eye of Horus, they're both the same thing. These are just called that. If Egyptologists made that story up, they didn't have any hieroglyphics saying this is what this symbol means. They just called it the Eye of Ra, the Eye of Horus. Now it's a pacturopathic magic, meaning using the one eye to defend yourself. That's constant all over the world in every esoteric tradition, like shamanism. And you look at the images of that in the past, and the traditional, real images, not the ones that the New Age hippie ones. Now I saw that stupid thing where it's a cross section of the brain. That's because that brain had been dyed with different colors to show the different partitions. That's not how the brain looks really inside. That was like a typical hippie New Age thing. You take, I'll put it on the thumbnail here, but you take a good look at the original Eye of Horus, and it seems very octopus-like. Now you'd say, well, it hasn't got 8 legs. It has 4 blue appendages now that look stylized out of it. And more intriguingly, it has that octopus eye. Have you ever noticed that the octopus has a specific eye with a very specific glance? The glance of the octopus is very intense. You look in an octopus's eye and you're looking at a deep being. Well, the Eye of Horus has that same look to it. Now, you have 4 blue appendages. Now, that thing was painted on the sides of boats in ancient Egypt. Now, if you have one painted on, everything is 2 eyes now. An octopus has 2 eyes. On the front of a boat, on the starboard side, you have an Eye of Horus with its 4 blue appendages. You have it on the starboard, the port side, the Eye of Horus and its 4 blue appendages. And that's still painted to this day in different forms. What does 4 and 4 give you? 8. You then have the full octopus. Now this, now bear with me, this is going somewhere. Now, so we have, what has this comet got to do with octopuses and Egypt? Well, this Atlas comet, it's the first time it's visited Earth since pharaonic Egypt. The last time it was in the sky was during the time of the pharaonic era in Egypt. So we're getting back something. Now, the pyramids we know are much older, but pharaonic Egypt, who took over that, and we know they were very esoteric and religious people, spiritual people. Things are coming together. Comet Atlas, is it the Blackstar? The 5 points of the pentagram, the 5 maladies of human life. Was Bowie at the end giving us insights? Is that why he included all these imageries at the end, including the Cthulhu, Lovecraftian type stuff, which has exploded in popularity in the last couple of years? Are we Why the timing with pharaonic Egypt? Why are people who are not normally interested in cosmology and astrology suddenly fascinated by this Comet Atlas, Comet 19, COVID 19, during a world lockdown? We are living in unprecedented times. I would not have put that out there if we weren't. If the day came, if you told me 2 years ago the day will come when for a couple of months the human race will be shut down, while a U.S. president has a space army and is launching secret space missions and talking about going to the moon for mining and this kind of thing, and so all bets are off. All bets are off, and everything is up for grabs as far as I'm concerned. And that's why I call this video Comet, Blackstar, Cthulhu, Atlas, whatever I call it. There's another way of looking at it. And it's funny, the 9 and 11 thing comes back. In the esoteric, not necessarily numerology, but in the esoteric things of numbers, even in my own work. I made a video called, if you looked on my Thomas Sheridan channel, called Breaking the Babylon Mind, and I talk about the importance of negative spaces on the number 9. Its relation to the Hermit card in the tarot, and it's just it's interesting nature as a number. Now the next thing is 10, and 10 is resolution, completion, but it's not the final number. Well, then we have 11, and 11 in esoteric is the new paradigm, the thing that doesn't exist in this paradigm. Are we crossing the threshold from 9 to 11? Now, and then we have 9/11. I mean, 9/11 and the 9/11 Stargate that happened back in 2001, that basically has all me, you here, and everyone watching these videos for that reason. A new reality was blasted into existence. So this is why I'm putting this out there. I'm trying to gather up that which is scattered, and this is why I need you guys to also take part in the comments section of this. Watch that video, Blackstar by Bowie, again, and there's even a scene with a corona around the sun in it. And even like how many times must an angel fall, and burns a solitary candle. This is there's something going on here that's at the very least it's a loudspeaker screaming from the subconscious collective unconscious of humanity at us, to what I always say, pay attention, to pay attention. And I'm just before, up until this point, we had a friend of mine called this the great bewildering, and I always thought that was a great term. But are we moving now from the great bewildering to the great resolution, or the great understanding, or the great revelation? I notice Christianity has basically stopped. Have you noticed that? Even the Christian nut jobs on the internet, you don't hear them as much as you used to. That period is over. Christianity is gone. It's finished. Now you may have things like folk Catholicism and things like that surviving, and esoteric Christianity surviving. But in terms of the churches, that world is over. And the celebrity thing is finished as well. They're non-essentials. Then that's gone. And that's why they're weeping and crying and howling in their videos in self-isolation. And they know their world is up. They're stars now, the Blackstar. And the angel has fallen. And that's another thing, to me especially, me alone actually, really, what's the word, restoring the true nature of Lucifer as a pagan god and connected to Venus, which is very strong. Now there's huge astronomical alignments happening in the next few months, the next few weeks. There's very interesting astrological aspects happening now. Is Atlas the Black Star? Are the emergence of the octopus from the oceans, the the beginning of the aliens? Is the coronavirus symbolic as the end of humanity, as the solitary power in this universe that we know of? And are the aliens something that was already here coming in a new form, i.e., yesterday's video? I don't know. I'm throwing it all out there, and I'm very interested in what you have to say about it. But I'll tell you one thing, whatever it is, it's a hell of a ride, and I feel very honored to be able to sit here and to watch the performance before me, because the universe, the consciousness, and those unseen forces of the quantum abyss are giving us a hell of a show right now. And I'm very, 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 very happy that I have a front seat view of the whole thing. Take care. I'll see you later.